In the dead of night, a couple witnessed a bizarre thing. A real ghost is in their house. After this, the existence of ghosts in the house cannot be contested. The footage shows the couple lying on the bed, fast asleep. Everything looks normal and there's nothing out of place. Suddenly, a dark shadow appears, looming over the wife. It lingers for an instant before reaching down and pulling the lady from the bed. The surprised lady let out a scream, waking her husband in the process. Still very sleepy, the husband wakes up and looks around. He doesn't look startled, but it is clear that there'll be no more sleep for that night. In another corner of the house, a vacuum cleaner stands in front of a door. Then it was suddenly lifted into the air and stopped. These aren't human activities, as there isn't anyone else in sight. Two girls are alone in their house when one of them sees something in the doorway. If you pause the video, you can see it's clearly the upper half of a young girl who is dressed in old-fashioned clothes from another time period. She is floating in mid-air as she curiously peeks in on the two children to see what they are doing.
Are you sure? I don't think so. What's that? Up there! I told you, didn't I? I told you I seen something!
The scared girls run out of the house screaming. They stop only for a second to turn around from the street. They can see the ghost girl walking across the left window on the top floor. It vanishes and then suddenly appears on the bottom floor in less than a second. They scream even louder and take off again.
What's it? See? What'd I say? Oh my god. What'd I say? It's gone! No, shush. No. No!
There's been a debate raving about the presence of ghosts at Disneyland. While some people support this, others don't. However, CCTV surveillance has captured what seems to favor this argument. What initially seemed to be a peaceful night took a strange turn when an unexpected movement was detected. An eerie figure emerged, walking in the dark. Its reflection blended with the lights, giving it a ghostly appearance. The figure kept disappearing and reappearing as it walked. It strolled down the pathway, passing effortlessly through locked gates, and even appeared to walk on water. A truly chilling sight. On a peaceful night, this mother is sleeping together with her two kids on their bed. Everything looks as normal as should be, but that's until the ghost hunting their house starts to manifest. As the family sleeps in the dead of night, the double doors of the wardrobe creak and gradually open. Neither the mother nor either of the kids notice anything at first, but she later realizes something is up. But the ghost has done its thing. Contrary to popular belief, ghosts don't have to wait until nighttime before they can begin to haunt, as this Brazilian soccer footage shows. The crowd is happily cheering on their favorite team, when suddenly a shadow ghost starts sprinting through all of them.
Huffington Post on. This is a shadow person running through the stadium here.
Look closely, and you'll notice how nobody tries to move out of the way. Even though a person is clearly running full speed at them, not a single person tries to pull their legs in, or even bothers to look up. They are so concentrated on the game that they do not see, feel, or hear the ghost as it runs directly through the half-filled stadium in a straight line.
Unbelievable. And this is in Spanish, a Spanish game somewhere.
CCTV captured this eerie video in 2019. If anyone had been in the room, they would have been scared out of their wits. The video is proof of the fact that the house is haunted, and a ghost probably resides there. The video shows an ordinary-looking room in the middle of the night. Just as everything seems fine, a circular object resembling a skull flies out of the corner as if thrown by a hand. Then another object falls off the ceiling on its own. It gets even worse when the box to the right opens and closes itself. Then it opens again, and what looks like a face can be seen in it. Could that be a ghost? Ever heard the saying that the bond between a person and their pet is stronger than the bond between some people? This house owner's pet cat took that bond to a whole new level. In the video, the ghost of the dead cat can be seen strolling around the sitting room. It appears as a big beam of light, but from the way it moves and from its form, you can see that it's actually a cat. A ghost cat, precisely. Something strange is about to happen in this relatively calm place. The place looks all peaceful and serene under the night sky, and no one in the world would think anything is unusual. Then a white cat walks into the range of the surveillance camera. The cat comes to a stop facing away from the building. Then something that leaves question marks happens. The cat looks back at the building, then takes about 2 steps forward and immediately disappears into thin air, just like that, as if it were never there to start with. Back in 2008, a man started to notice some strange activities around his house. He would often come home from work to find his dogs cowering under the bed, too afraid to come out.
Session of that performance of the Corngold Concerto. Just imagine the foot stomping from the members of the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra responding to that performance.
One day, his radio turns to static and a spirit orb rushes out the window. Later, someone violently jiggles the doorknob to the door that leads to the attic. The door opens and shuts by itself. The radio goes back to normal soon after. Things look to be going back to normal for a second, but then a paper towel roll suddenly flies up from the table to the couch, and the radio starts making more sounds again. The video recording starts to get fuzzy too, as if a ghost causing electrical disturbances by passing by. Both of his dogs begin to look in the same spot, as if they are following something. Whatever it was, the man was never able to physically catch it on film. He was only able to record its strange and oftentimes violent behavior. real estate agent was making a video for a house tour when something she least expected happened. While she was talking, she suddenly forgot her lines, so she went to check and restart the video.
Wow, it's 10 p.m. and my day was fully booked with showings of this vintage 1963 bungalow.
As she spoke, the door suddenly opened on its own. She stood to the side and stared at the door for several seconds before picking up her camera and walking towards the door, daring it to move again. She walked through the house, daring doors to open and glasses to break. But little did she know that whatever was there heard her. A screeching noise suddenly rang out, and she hurried back to the room she came from, only to see a circular object fall from the ceiling. Forgetting her paper, she promptly ran out of the house. If there is a place that can be haunted by ghosts, it has to be a hospital. After all, people die there often. These two nurses are at the end of their shift, and they decide to spend time laughing around. Then the male nurse hears a noise from the room just opposite them. With the lady following closely behind, he goes in to check the place.
No, las boobies. Ah, no mames.
¿Qué?
Pasó algo.
But they aren't prepared for what unfolds next. As they enter the room, a walker suddenly moves on its own and stops, as if the ghost that was previously making the noise was startled. The lady, wasting no time, runs out as fast as she can.
No mames, pasó algo, te lo juro que pasó algo,
Se mueve, se mueve.
Vete a la verga.
Yo no voy.
This next video comes from India and was captured back in 2021. The video shows a person coming down the street, but he's not alone. Watch closely as a shadow walks across the street, a few meters away from him. What could that possibly be but a ghost? This next clip is as eerie as can be, considering that it involves a kid, or better yet, what looks like a kid. The CCTV surveillance captures the moment when what looks like a child dashes from one end of the room to another, just up the stairs. Was that a child? A skinwalker? A ghost? Let us know in the comments. This hospital security guard was on his normal patrol duty when he noticed that something was off with the wheelchair. He stopped to check, and as if the ghost on the chair had noticed a presence, the chair suddenly started turning as if to meet the man, who promptly fled the area. At about 1 a.m. on November 26, 2023, CCTV captured a very eerie sight. The compound is clear, and there doesn't seem to be any disturbance. That is, of course, until a strange creature suddenly appears out of thin air and dashes into the distance. This man had quite an encounter with a real ghost as he was walking down the street. His camera was running as a figure in white moved down the opposite street. The figure looked a bit transparent, reinforcing the belief that it might have been a ghost. This clip was filmed by a lady in Scotland. She noticed something going on among the trees, and if you look closely at the trees to the left, you'll notice paranormal activities going on there. video shows more than one human apparition. They can be seen moving their limbs, and there is one almost as big as the entire tree. While there's no way to confirm the genuineness of the video, it can hardly be debunked either. How would you react if you woke up to a ghost staring at you? Definitely not good. A man from Argentina woke up one morning to an unusually large notification from his backyard cam. He naturally checked, and what he found can best be described as spine-chilling. In the camera footage, he saw a figure clad from head to toe in a white robe, staring right at the camera. The worst thing is that the figure seemed to be weeping. Scary things happen in different places, and a morgue is one of such places. This footage shows just how eerie a morgue can be. In the video, we see two corpses covered with white cloth from head to toe. Suddenly, one of the corpses reaches out his hand and lifts the sheets off. Then he sits upright, as if he were never dead. He struggles off to the ground, stark naked, and begins staggering away from the iron bed. If you don't believe in ghosts or paranormal activities, wait till you see this next video. Though the man on the bed is fast asleep, a ghost visited him, and it was all caught on camera. Look closely and see as the window curtains part open by themselves. You can clearly see activities going on just outside the window. Then whatever it is moves to the bed and begins to toy with the sheets around the man. Then, in one fluid movement, the ghost flings the sheets of the man, yet he remains fast asleep, unaware of what just happened, until he checks his footage the next morning. This security guard on his night shift had a presence to keep him company in the middle of his shift.
I saw it again this time. Watch. It come from, see, there you go. I'm looking dead at it.
Watch closely as the ghost, in the form of a white beam of light, comes in, passing through the closed door. What's worse, the guard seems to notice it as he waves at it. It was quite an encounter, don't you think?
You know, I ain't really getting scared now, shit, so I'm just tired of seeing it. I guess it's too cold outside, and he was like, fuck it. You just gonna go inside, go get on a goddamn sweater or something, so it is kind of chilly out here in Chicago.
This man thought his house was haunted, so he went to check out a strange sound that he heard coming from his basement. Descending the stairs, the basement was in sight, but he stopped a few steps away. His camera was pointed at the dark basement. No figure was seen, but footsteps were heard rushing towards him, causing the man to turn around and flee for dear life.
Hello?
Speaking of security men and ghosts, this one was even worse than the last. The airport security walked to the line divider and removed it, obviously opening it for someone. That was just after the double doors opened for apparently no one. But the security guard can seem to be seeing and talking to someone, gesticulating for the invisible person. After his conversation with the ghost, he fixed the divider again and walked away. A report is still going on about a missing girl whose whereabouts are unknown to this day. Now, while her whereabouts are not known, her disappearance was caught on a backyard camera. The footage shows the girl being led by someone into the woods. But the problem is, it's not just any regular person. What led her into the woods was a tall creature whose height is not normal for a normal human. What do you think? A human or a ghost? Security cameras can catch some really creepy and disturbing things that beg for explanation, yet they find none.
Creepy things caught on security cameras that I cannot explain. This guy
Take a look at this video. In it, we see two guys walking down the street. One of them suddenly goes down, and while the other goes to help him. A third person appears from his body and attempts to attack his partner before disappearing again like nothing happened.
Down, and all of a sudden a third creature or something comes up from him and starts chasing him and then goes back in his body.
While most people think of houses, hospitals, or jails, when they think about ghost sightings, some of the most unsuspecting places can turn out to be the most haunted. This footage was taken at a popular food joint during broad daylight. A shadowy ghost suddenly materializes in a Subway restaurant. It starts out in the shape of a human and almost appears to be getting a table. When it gets to its seat, the black shadow suddenly changes into a floating black blob of an orb. At this point, an employee or maybe a customer appears to see the ghost in the doorway. Whoever they are, they look stunned for a second and then quickly back away. The shadow orb pays no attention to the human as it floats up to the window and lingers there. It's almost as if it is taking a look at the outside world. The ghost starts to rise even higher and shrinks until it fully disappears back to wherever it came from. This footage was captured on January 23, 2013. A hooded man is seen walking down the hallway of a hotel when suddenly a black translucent figure appears and grabs his leg, causing him to fall on his back. The man is dragged a few inches before freeing himself and taking to his heels, while the figure vanishes like a puff of smoke. Some people believe that the soul of a person leaves the body after death. On July 29, 2014, a hospital CCTV camera captured this process live, and needless to say, it was extremely spooky. In the video, a corpse is laid on a bed in a room, and all of a sudden, the ghost of that person is clearly seen, coming out of the body and floating out the door. It is an incredibly hard thing to imagine, but this camera captured it, and the footage was uploaded. This household is haunted for real, and all the strange activities are a confirmation of this fact. The kid is seen playing with his baby brother when suddenly the baby walker moves on its own, scaring the living daylight out of him. The confused kid runs to his mother, but the chair in front of them moves on its own too. That's not all.
के पास गए, चेयर अपने आप ही मूव होने लगा। वो डरकर बाहर से भाग रहे थे, लेकिन उनके कपड़े को किसी ने पीछे से खींचने।
The father tries to calm his family, but the paranormal activities continue. The mother's hair gets twisted by itself and the pillows move all over the bed. There are no hands to be seen, so how can you explain this?
लेकिन अचानक उनके बालों को कोई बहुत तेज से।
A couple of British friends are playing catch in a courtyard when one of them sees something strange and points it out to the others.
What was that?
The camera follows his gaze and stops on a pale face, looking at them from high above. The sickly person looks at them for a second longer before silently slipping out of view.
Oh my days, that was creepy.
The group is now creeped out and wants to know who has been spying on them this whole time. They tell the property manager about the face they saw in the window, but she says that it's impossible. What's worse is that the room they are talking about has been locked and unoccupied for quite some time.
Have we seen him? He was up there?
I've got it on film.
This room's locked, guys. He's been locked for 2 years.
No, but I need to see something. Something him.
The manager goes up with them to unlock the door and show them around. They try to find the person, but the place is completely empty. There's no way anyone could have been up there, yet the camera obviously says differently. The mysterious peeper has never been identified. This child's mother posted a video and she doesn't know what to make of it. She was in the same room as her son when, out of nowhere, he began to cry.
She was in the same room as her son when, out of nowhere, he began to cry.
It wasn't until watching the footage that she was left disturbed. In the video, we see that the child all of a sudden disappears from the camera's view. It appears that he was forcefully pushed over. The question, though, is who or what exactly pushed him over? The cradle in the back continues to swing as the child vanishes from the frame, suggesting that this wasn't a glitch.
If it was, then the swing would have skipped a frame, just like the child had.
If it was, then the swing would have skipped a frame just like the child had. But, as you can see, not a single frame is skipped. There's a famous pub in Sydney, Australia, called the Carlisle Castle Hotel. For years, this local watering hole has been haunted by the ghost of a bitter ex-employee who left this earth quite some time ago, but not his job. His ghostly antics have been caught on camera no less than 3 times. One time, the tape reveals a glimpse of the ghost itself. The bar is empty at this time when the angry ghost suddenly materializes in front of the security camera. If you look closely, you can make out its head at the bottom of the screen. He appears to be waving. At another time, we see an unsuspecting man who opens the door to the cooler when the ghost decides to grab 2 bottles of red wine for himself. His ghost grip must not have been too tight, though, because both bottles crashed to the floor. Looking at the footage, there's no way that the shelf gave out or anything like that. The bottles were obviously thrown to the ground with deliberate force with no one nearby. Another incident occurred when the bar was full of witnesses. Everyone is happily enjoying themselves when a hanging red wine glass suddenly dislodges itself and smashes into the counter. Glass shards fly everywhere, and the entire bar takes notice. Although this could have simply been a freak accident, what are the chances that, of all the red wine glasses, the one that's directly underneath the server happens to be the one to fall and break? The timing is almost too perfect to be a coincidence. These 2 guys, Steve and Jake, are wandering around the woods one summer night with a single goal in mind. They want to explore an abandoned local chapel that's rumored to be haunted. As they approach, they see that someone has written prayers and warnings all over the outside wall.
Look at this too, it's fucking writing on the side about the chapel. Oh shit. It's like a prayer or something. Harold Lawrence. That's that. Fuck him.
The 2 friends instantly get a bad feeling about this adventure, but they swallow their fear and decide to press on. They shine their flashlights deep into the church's main assembly. There are rows and rows of wooden pews ahead of them.
Is it unlocked? I don't know if it's unlocked or not.
They pass by a podium and notice a piano, then they head deeper inside. Now they find themselves inside a small maintenance closet.
Old spot or something. Oh shit, look at that piano. That piano looks scary as shit.
They close the door behind them because they don't want anything sneaking up on them. It feels like anyone could be watching right now. Then suddenly the piano starts to play from outside. It's a soft and haunting piano melody that fills the church. Steve and Jake shut off their flashlights and kept recording. They debate whether or not they should go outside or stay here, where it's semi-safe. They realize that they can't spend the entire night trapped in the broom closet of a haunted church, so they turn their flashlights back on to see who is playing. Sitting at the piano at the far end of the room is a black, hunched-over phantom. They screamed and shut the door. Jake cries for a bit, and then they run away through the back exit. The music stops as soon as they leave the church.
We gotta make a run. Oh my God. All right, go.
They were hoping that the music stopped because it was over, but in reality, it was because the ghost had gotten up from the piano to chase them. They run a good distance before pausing to look back into the dark scenery. It seems like they've gotten away, but then the ghost finds them and they run away screaming. On a Saturday night at the Espanola police station, Carl Romero was on duty and watching the surveillance cameras.
Started out as a pretty typical Saturday night. Espanola police officer Carl Romero was on duty, keeping an eye on the surveillance cameras around the station.
When the cameras captured something eerie, Romero said he saw an image in the camera, which he thought was a moth until he saw the legs, and it turned out to be human, but not a real human. There was no going out or coming into the place without opening the iron gates and sounding the alarm. Yet the creature caught by the camera went through without causing any problems. Romero believes it was a ghost.
There is no way in or out of the secured area without an open gate and alarm sound.
These officers received a call about strange noises in a cemetery. They went to investigate it, but they didn't stick around to know what it was, because as they approached, they heard the noise themselves. It was the voice of a lady screaming as if in pain. People believe it's one of the ghosts in the place.